Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to posting on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays, two YouTube channels that I have. We will be talking into the fact that I seem to be turning into an old mother. Get into that a little bit. I've been checking out the Beatles Get Back documentary on Disney+. But the documentary itself is pretty interesting. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. My fiance and I have been going to old movies in movie theaters. That's been interesting. I'll talk about that a little bit. And then, of course, we have some good questions from you in hashtag #AskStuffandThings. A lot of good ones. Well, several good ones. Well, they're all good. But I wasn't able to get the questions from my YouTube comments for some reason. They just weren't coming through. And so these are mostly via Twitter. So I'm probably leaving some out that were posted on the comments this last week, but I will try to get to those next week. So lots to talk about. Let's get started. Coffee is very good. Okay, the first thing we were going to mention, upcoming videos. So I just recorded a first impressions video for this. Seattle Pipe Club Plum Pudding Special Reserve Flake, SPCPPSRF. The reason I just recorded this video instead of the final review of Sutliff Cringle Flake 2021 is because I wanted this review to post a little bit more close to Christmas. So how's this gonna work? We're doing the first impressions video of Plum Pudding Special Reserve Flake. That'll be posting this coming week on Wednesday. I believe the following Wednesday, yes, will be Sutliff Cringle Flake 2021, and then the full review of Plum Pudding Special Reserve Flake will be either the next week or the week after. Might be the week after. I think that's how it's gonna play out. So this one was an interesting one. And we might get into this topic a little bit later. I forgot to mention it in the run of show, but or maybe we'll tackle it now. This idea that Sutliff keeps releasing sort of special versions of blends. So on this channel, I have reviewed the very, very original Mississippi River, the one that was produced by Pipes and Cigars. I've reviewed the original Plum Pudding. I think it was the original version by Pipes and Cigars. Now they're produced by Sutliff, so they still have the just base version of Mississippi River and Pipes and Cigars produced by Sutliff. They also released a barrel-aged version of both. There was bourbon and rum barrel-aged versions of Mississippi River and Plum Pudding, respectively. I can never remember which one was which. And then I did a review of Mississippi River Special Reserve Flake, and now we have Plum Pudding Special Reserve Flake. So far, all of them have been pretty similar to each other. So like the Mississippi River, discounting the original Mississippi River that was produced by Pipes and Cigars, but just the Sutliff versions, they've all been kind of similar. And as far as Plum Pudding goes, you know, you can check out the first impressions video that posts Wednesday. But I think my big question here is whether or not these special versions of these blends are necessary, or is it Sutliff kind of milking things a little bit? I'm not sure. And I'm not saying that I know one way or the other, or that I've made up my mind one way or the other, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Those of you who have had all the different versions of Plum Pudding or Mississippi River, do you think that the different versions are distinct enough from each other to warrant having these different versions? Or do you think it's more just we want to sell some different blends, and so we're gonna change them up a little bit, slap a new label on there? I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical about it. Definitely check out my first impressions video. I talk about that a little bit in that video. And obviously I'm gonna hold my judgment until I do the final review, but I don't know. I'm kind of vacillating back and forth between whether or not we need an SPCPPSRF. Yeah, that's what it is? Yeah. Whether or not we need this version of Plum Pudding. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And then, as I mentioned, we will be doing the Cringle Flake review when we're closer to Christmas. And then, of course, Demon Souls, the amazing series, continuing on Stuff and Things Plays with our good friend Kevin the Kurt. Check it out. All right, so I mentioned that I've been turning into like an old mom, and here is how. Typically, when I'm doing work on the computer, if I'm editing a video or rendering video, uploading videos, all that good stuff that I do, I have YouTube open in a window, usually several tabs of different YouTube videos, some channels that I follow and I watch them every week, other things that are just, suggested to me by the all-knowing algorithm in the sky. And there's a genre that I've always kind of stayed away from. It was never something that drew me in, but recently, for some reason, I started watching some of these videos, and it is the funny animal compilation video. And it's the kind of thing that, like your mom shares on Facebook. But it's not the kind of thing that I would typically watch, but I just randomly started watching some of these videos, and then of course, once you watch one video, YouTube keeps suggesting those videos to you in this never-ending horrible cycle. And so I started watching several of these, and it's kind of funny. Dogs running into things or falling down, whatever. It's it's kind of cute. But there's this one video, and it was just part of a compilation, and I can't explain to you why I find this so funny, but maybe if I just show it to you, and I don't know it's not the kind of thing that if I watch it 100 times, I don't know if I will laugh every single time. Maybe I will, but let me show you this weird dog doing something dumb.
Oh, no, you're gonna hurt yourself. Back up. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Get it back. Rissa, get back.
Rissa, back
get
up.
Back. Your eyes gonna pop out. Rissa, back seat. Get it back. Rissa, oh my word.
It's just the look on her face as her eye is bugging out of her socket and her muzzle shoved through that net. And she looks over. I don't know what it is. But I just find that absolutely hilarious. I think that dog will be the thumbnail picture for this video, probably. It's just funny. That's funny. That's good stuff right there. All the other content on all those videos I could take or leave, but I think it was worth it just to see that one dog trying to shove its face through the netting in that car. So maybe I'm done with all this. I might just rewatch that one little clip over and over and over again, but as far as the funny animal compilations, maybe I've gotten it out of my system now. So, how many of you have been watching the Beatles Get Back documentary on Disney+? I had kind of forgotten that I had Disney+, and then, because I never watched anything on there, I can't remember what I had it for. I think Diamond and I were watching a few things on there, and it's cheap enough that you don't really notice it coming out of your bank account every single month, and you probably should be aware of those things, and I need to be more aware of those things. But anyway, I had been hearing about this Get Back documentary. It was basically Peter Jackson got a hold of, and I'm assuming, I don't know if he was approached by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr or vice versa if he approached them, but anyway, there was all this footage. If we go back in time a little bit to 1969, the Beatles were trying to do a project in which they were going to rehearse a bunch of new material, perform that material, record that performance, and that was going to be their next album. And they were going to do a TV special and a documentary based on the recording of this. And if any of you know anything about Beatles history, you will know that Let It Be was the album that emerged from those sessions. And Let It Be was actually released after Abbey Road, but it was recorded before Abbey Road. And a lot of people look at Let It Be and say, okay, this is when the Beatles started falling apart. There was all sorts of acrimony. They weren't getting along. And there was all this footage shot when they were doing this, when they were rehearsing these songs and learning them. And it turned out that they didn't do the live performance for a television, on a set or in front of a live audience. What they ended up doing is recording most of the songs, playing them live in the studio, but recording them, and then they kind of capped it off with that famous rooftop gig on top of the Apple Studios. And then I guess Phil Spector took the tapes and remixed them and kind of overproduced them, and that's what we know of as Let It Be. There was also a version of Let It Be called Let It Be Naked, where they stripped away a lot of that stuff. Anyway, not to get too much in the weeds with that. This is taking all the footage that was shot. I think they said there was like, I don't know, 160 hours or something ridiculous, maybe 60 hours, I can't remember, of footage and all sorts of audio, and Peter Jackson got a hold of it. He restored the footage and then edited it, I'm going to use quotes there, into a roughly 8-hour documentary in 3 parts. And it's been really fascinating to watch. It drags in some spots, and I think that if you're not a real Beatles fan, you may not find this too interesting, because a lot of it is them. They start in a film studio, Twickenham Studios, just this giant kind of warehouse-like space where they were originally going to film the special, and then eventually they moved to Apple Studios. But a lot of it is just them kind of sitting around and rehearsing songs, which to me is very interesting because you can see how these songs sort of evolved throughout that period. You know, Paul is writing Get Back, and at one point it was like a protest song against immigration policies in the UK. And you can see those lyrics evolve, or there'll be parts where he's like, Jojo, Jojo, Tucson, Arizona? Tucson's in Arizona, right? Like going through this, I'm not doing a Paul voice right now, but you can see the lyrics changing, you can see it all evolving, and it's really interesting. And the other interesting thing about this is that it shows that, yes, even though there was some tension, and famously George quit at one point during the recording, and then they kind of drew him back, you can also see just how much they enjoy working together and how amazing their collaboration really was, especially Paul and John. And yes, Yoko is there all the time, but Paul and John, you can just see this sort of telepathic connection they have as far as music goes, and it's just really fascinating. I've gotten to the part where Billy Preston, the keyboard player, comes and, you know, everything is really gelling. I don't know. It's very, very interesting. It's definitely worth checking out. Even if you don't have Disney Plus, I would suggest maybe just getting it for a month and checking this out if you are a Beatles fan. If you don't know all these songs and you don't know, like hearing alternate original lyrics for The Long and Winding Road, that might not be that interesting to you if you don't already know the final version and love the final version of Long and Winding Road. But if you are a big Beatles fan, I would check it out. I think it's definitely worth watching. If I had been Peter Jackson, I might have edited it down a little bit more, kind of tightened it up a bit, but I can understand it would be hard to make those decisions when they're noodling around with, you know, I Dig a Pony, and it's like, well, I could cut this out because not much is happening, but then if you're a big fan, you're like, yeah, but they're writing I Dig a Pony right now. Like, I want to watch this. So I don't know, I can understand it. I think it really picks up more in the second episode especially, and check it out. It's definitely worth watching. I'm not advertising for Disney Plus. You could watch this and then cancel Disney Plus right afterwards. That might be a good idea. So since things have opened up a little bit more, Diamond and I have been going to the theater more. I typically don't go to movie theaters very often at all, but I think I mentioned on the channel we had gone to see Dune, and then we went and saw The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson film. But recently, this kind of fun thing has been going on at our local crazy multiplex where I think they don't have enough first-run big films to show right now just because of things being as they are. And so they've started showing older films on the big screen, and it's kind of cool. So last Monday, we went and saw My Neighbor Totoro by Miyazaki, and we had to go on a Monday night because that was the only night when they were showing the Japanese version, or the Japanese dialogue version of the film. If you're gonna watch a Japanese film, watch it in Japanese with subtitles, unless you have little tiny kids. Actually, there was a family with little tiny kids there, which I thought was odd because it was subtitled, but the kids seemed to love it anyway. They were probably like 4 and 5 years old or so, but they still seemed to really enjoy it. So anyway, we went and saw My Neighbor Totoro, and then tonight we're actually going to go and see the original Matrix film. And it's just kind of cool to get a chance to see these movies that I think I saw The Matrix right when it came out, and I was in LA at the time, and I think I saw it at the Chinese theater, actually. Yeah, right when it came out, and that was like, ooh, this movie's amazing. Now, I don't know how well it's gonna hold up. I haven't seen it in years. The other two films in that franchise are horrid. They are awful. Don't ever watch them because they suck. But the first one was quite fun at the time. But I'm gonna check it out and see what it's like. And it's just been fun, like, revisiting movies like I had never seen My Neighbor Totoro in the theater, so it was cool to see that, and it was cool to see it with an audience, and especially an audience that had little kids, even if the little kids couldn't understand what they were saying. Just seeing people react to the film, and I guess this is something that is not, you know, a big revelation, but it is fun sometimes, depending on the audience, to watch a film with a group of people and just kind of feel the energy of the room and of the audience, seeing it portrayed on the big screen the way it is intended or was intended to be seen as well. And it's kind of fun. I hope they keep this up at this theater, showing, you know, older films, giving me a chance to see things that I hadn't seen on a big screen. We were doing that recently, or not recently, but a while back at kind of the smaller independent theater here. We went and saw The Shining, we saw Jaws, we saw a couple old films on the big screen. That was kind of annoying though, because it was a very digitized projection, like you could see pixels. That kind of annoyed me. And then also the audio just wasn't great at that theater. Or no, that wasn't at the independent theater. That was at the Mount Baker Theater, which usually does live shows, but they were showing films there. And their sound system just was not great. But seeing it at a big multiplex where they have good sound system, the screens are good, it's projected nicely, it's just really cool to see these films. So I'm curious if there's any film that you haven't been able to see on the big screen and would like to see on the big screen. What would that be? What would be something that you would really like to see in the full aspect as it was originally intended? Let me know in the comments below. But now, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, and I will do my best to answer you on the next Sunday Stuff and Things. You can also leave comments on YouTube videos. I will go through those and pick out questions. I wasn't able to do that this week, but I will try to do that next week. And then, of course, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me on there. But this week, via Twitter, from Chris Coffey, we have, or at Lutheran Kleinen, we have the question, where would you recommend sending a pipe that needs repairs or work done on it? Now, that's a very good question. There is no place locally for me where I could go. I know there are probably plenty of places online. I have sent a pipe away, and I was trying to find this information. I could not find the name of the place I sent it. So it's just something you're going to have to do online, I'm sure, but I know that there have got to be people who are watching this video now who can leave a recommendation for Chris in the comments below. What the hell was that place called? Mike something? I know if I search through hundreds of videos, I could find the video where I was talking about that, but I don't even know if I know how to search for that. But yeah, if anyone else has any good recommendations for Chris, if there's a place that you sent a pipe where, you know, shipping is good, turnaround is good, the workmanship is good, let Chris know in the comments below. Next, from Malcolm Cooper at Mal C. Cooper Ficht. Hey Bradley, big fan of your tea reviews for years, but just realized you play guitar. Is that a Rickenbacker 330 I see behind you? Anyway, I saw your last vid about chord changes. Check out the way Johnny Marr plays chords, arpeggios. It probably was a Rickenbacker 330 that you saw behind me if you were watching the last 9-month guitar challenge video that I posted. I have had videos about that particular guitar on the channel as well. You should just search for that in my videos. You can see some of those. And yeah, Johnny Marr is a very good guitar player, a very unique guitar player, and I haven't ever really tried to play any Smith stuff, but I should maybe check into that. He also played for the Cribs for a while, which is one of my favorite bands ever. Love the Cribs. Thanks for the question, Malcolm. Next, from Marie. A woman? A woman watches Stuff and Things? At A Marie J92. My boyfriend, oh, no, that's a girl. I probably shouldn't do a girl voice. My boyfriend is a big fan of yours. It's sort of a girl's voice. He loves collecting pipes and tea. With that being said, what should I get him for Christmas? Loves pipes, loves tea. I don't know. Machete? No, but if he's into this kind of stuff, and if he watches the channel, he might see exactly what I tell you, and so then he'll expect the gift. But, you know, accessories, things that go along with the hobby are always appreciated. Pipe rolls, different kinds of tampers that you can use, or lighters, fun stuff like that. That's part of the fun of this hobby, is that there are so many different little accessories that you can get that can sort of, debatably, they can enhance your enjoyment of the hobby, but I think it's just kind of fun to have these things and hold them and use them. So yeah, like maybe a nice brass tamper or a nice pipe lighter, like a Corona Old Boy or something like that. There are a lot of things, lots of cool accessories. Just go to like smokingpipes.com, look at pipe accessories and stuff. It's good stuff there. Next, from Jason Hexeter Hunt, at Hexeter. Jason says, hey Bradley, loving the Demon's Souls. Kevin's travails have been excellent fun to watch. Patches was a bit of a letdown as you seem to have thwarted his trap. Yeah. I'm sure he will be back. Question, how's the PS5 holding up compared to the 4? Yeah, that was kind of a weird part in the series, or in the episode, where I saw Patches, and this is something that no one will understand unless you've been watching these episodes and all the different series I've done. Patches is a creep who does creepy things to Kevin whenever he sees him. But I was, I guess, inadvertently able to thwart the trap that Patches was trying to spring on Kevin. I think he was going to have a large lava beast fall down atop Kevin, but Kevin killed the large lava beast before that was able to happen. Anyway, you had to have been there. The PS5, it's great. Aside from the fact that it is gigantic and it is hideous, it runs fine. It's not super loud. Haven't had any issues, no glitches, no like weird shutdowns or anything like that. Yeah, it's been quite good. It's been pretty bug-free, the experience so far of using it. In the PS4, I would have issues all the time where if an automatic update would download for the operating system on the PS4, it would never automatically install that update, and then it would try to install it, and then it would hang up, and I would have these blue screens that I couldn't do anything on, and I would have to like hard reset the PS4, and then I would have to download the update by myself and then manually install it in, you know, safety mode and stuff. It was just a huge headache and quite annoying, and I haven't had any issues like that with the PS5. So games look amazing on it. They play great. It's really cool to be able to play older games at increased frame rates. Like I was playing all the different FromSoft games, just sort of checking out Dark Souls 1 and Sekiro and everything. Playing those at 60 frames is really fun. I guess Bloodborne is not in 60 frames yet. I don't know why, but yeah, it's great. No complaints whatsoever, and I want to thank our good friend Jason Buckner once again for sending that along and making Kevin the Kurt's newest adventures possible. But gang, thank you so much for those questions. Like I said, I will try to get... We'll see if I can pick out some of those comments that were questions on the YouTube videos that I wasn't able to grab for this week. But now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Our Patreon supporters help make this show go. They help pay for this fancy camera that is recording this episode right now, these lights that are shining upon me, many of the blends that we get for review and other products. They just help out a lot. If you would like to support the channel, there is a link in the description box below to our Patreon, but every week we shout out the people who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Glenn, Jason Buckner, Gloria Phillips, Ryan McFadin, Matt Marino, Joe Heaphy, MDoftheNorth, and Gus. Thank you all so much. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Peter Straub, Bob Magee, David Gaudreau, Mr. Luxurious, and Ashes of the Phoenix. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching, subscribing, liking. I guess you can't dislike anymore for some stupid reason, but hit the like button because that helps. Leave comments because that helps. Subscribe because that helps. And stay tuned for all sorts of good stuff. We will have the first impressions video of Seattle Pipe Club, Seattle Pipe Club Plum Pudding Special Reserve Flake. That'll be coming up. We will have the final review of Sutliff Cringle, all these names, Sutliff Cringle Flake 2021 showing up. We might have some sort of special Christmas episode, I'm not sure. And then of course, Kevin the Kurt's Adventures every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Stuff and Things Plays. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been a good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a very pleasant Sunday, Stuff and Things. Whew. I'll see you later.